The sleek alien ship landed on the bright green lawn of the United Nations headquarters in New York. Its silver surface reflected the morning sun, almost blinding the gathered crowd. This was the day humanity had waited for. First contact with an advanced alien civilization. Captain James Walker stood at attention behind the world leaders. His blue uniform was perfectly pressed, his face a mask of calm. But inside, his heart raced. After 20 years in Earth's defense force, he knew that first meetings were the most dangerous. As the ship's door opened with a soft hiss, he placed his hand on his holstered gun. 7 tall, thin aliens walked out. Their skin was pale blue, and they had large eyes that took in everything. The tallest one wore a gold robe and stepped forward. "I am Delegate Moore of the Galactic Council," the alien said in perfect English. "We have watched your planet for some time. Today, we offer you membership in our peaceful Federation of Worlds." The UN Secretary-General stepped forward with a wide smile. "We are honored by your offer. Earth has long hoped to join a larger community among the stars." Walker watched the aliens carefully. Something in their eyes didn't match their friendly words. He had seen that look before, in the eyes of men who thought they were superior. After the public welcome, the real meeting began inside the UN building. Walker was invited as Earth's military representative. The room was large, with a round table where human and alien leaders sat together. Delegate Moore displayed a hologram of the galaxy. Thousands of stars lit up, showing the vast reach of the Galactic Council. "For 10,000 years, we have kept peace," Moore said. "All members follow our rules and enjoy our protection. To join us, Earth must meet certain conditions." Walker did not like the pause before conditions. He sat up straighter as Moore continued. "First, Earth must reduce its military by 90%. No single planet needs so many weapons." The Secretary-General frowned. "That's a significant reduction, but we could discuss a gradual." "Second," Moore interrupted, "Earth will have colonial status for 200 years. During this time, you will learn our ways before full membership is granted." Colonial status. Walker couldn't stay silent any longer. "That means we have no vote in council matters." Moore's large eyes turned to Walker. "Correct. You would be under the guidance of a more advanced race, for your own good. The Proxima Centauri system would serve as your mentors." Walker had studied the data from Earth's deep space probes. The same Proxima Centauri whose 3 planets all mine resources for council worlds. Those mentors. A thin smile appeared on Moore's face. "You are well informed, Captain." "Yes, they have found their place in our economy." "You mean as your servants," Walker said flatly. The room grew tense. The Secretary-General shot Walker a warning look. "Captain Walker," Moore said, "humanity is young and aggressive. Your history is filled with war. The Council's approach has brought peace to 1,000 worlds. Would you prefer to stay alone and primitive?" Walker stood up. "We've fought our wars, yes, but we've also fought against those who would take our freedom. Earth has a long history of resisting empires that arrive with talk of helping the natives while taking their resources." "James," the Secretary-General warned, "remember your place." "My place is defending Earth," Walker replied. "And these aren't terms for membership. They're terms for surrender." Moore's eyes narrowed. "We offer you the stars, Captain. Without our help, you will remain trapped in this small system for centuries." "We'll get to the stars on our own terms," Walker said. "Humans have gone from horse carts to space stations in 200 years. Imagine what we'll do in the next 200. Moore stood up, suddenly seeming much taller. "Your pride will be your downfall. Many species have rejected our first offer. All have accepted eventually, often after difficult lessons." The Secretary-General quickly cut in. "Please forgive Captain Walker's directness. We need time to consider your generous offer. Perhaps we could reconvene in 6 months." Moore nodded. 6 months. We will return for your answer." He looked directly at Walker. "Consider carefully, humans. The galaxy can be welcoming, or very hostile." After the aliens left, Walker was called to the Secretary General's office. "You may have just ruined our first contact, Captain," the Secretary General said angrily. "With respect, sir, you heard their terms. They want to strip our defenses and control our resources. That's not an alliance. It's a takeover." Walker's secure phone buzzed. He answered, listened, and his face darkened. "What is it?" asked the Secretary General. Walker showed him the video from a military satellite. It showed a human research ship near Jupiter, suddenly exploding as a larger alien vessel fired upon it. The time-stamp showed it happened during their meeting. "They were sending a message," Walker said quietly. "Submit or be destroyed." The Secretary General sank into his chair. "God help us. What do we do now? We can't fight a galactic power." Walker looked out the window at the New York skyline. "We have 6 months. We've built amazing things when our backs were against the wall. What are you suggesting?" "Give me authorization to start a special project. Deep black, known only to a few." Walker's eyes had a determined gleam. "If the Council wants to teach us a lesson, we should prepare one of our own." "What kind of project?" "They expect us to either give up or try to fight them with what we have now. They don't understand humans, sir. When cornered, we don't just fight harder. We change the rules." Walker leaned forward. "I need the best minds on the planet. Engineers, physicists, strategists, and I need them yesterday." The Secretary General stared at the replay of the destroyed ship. After a long moment, he nodded slowly. "You have 6 months, Captain Walker, but this stays completely secret. As far as the public and the Council know, we're considering their offer." Walker saluted. "Yes, sir. Project Nemesis begins today." As he left the office, Walker's mind was already racing with plans. The Galactic Council thought they had humanity cornered. They were about to learn why that was a dangerous mistake. 3 days after the aliens left, Captain James Walker stood in a massive underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. The base had been built in secret during the last World War, but never used. Now it would serve a new purpose. "Welcome to your new home," Walker said to the group of 50 people who had just arrived. They were the best minds on Earth: engineers, soldiers, computer experts, and scientists. "For the next 6 months, we have one job: build something that can stand up to the Galactic Council." Dr. Eleanor Reed raised her hand. She was a small woman with short brown hair and intense eyes. "Captain, I studied the video of their ships. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. How can we possibly catch up in 6 months?" Walker walked to a large metal container in the center of the room. "Because we have this." He pressed his hand to the scanner, and the container opened with a hiss. Inside was a twisted piece of metal with strange writing on it. 10 years ago, a small alien scout ship crashed in the Arctic. We kept it secret and studied it. We've learned some of their tech, but not enough." Walker looked at the group. "That's where you all come in. We need to take what we know and make something new, something they won't expect." Admiral Thomas Grant, an older man with gray hair and a weathered face, stepped forward. "I've commanded ships for 30 years. But this isn't just about building a better battleship. We need new thinking." "Exactly," Walker agreed. "The Council has ruled space for thousands of years. They think they've seen everything. Our advantage is that we're unpredictable." Over the next weeks, the team worked day and night. The facility became a hive of activity, with different groups tackling different problems. Dr. Reed led the engine team. She studied the alien metal for days, barely sleeping. One morning, Walker found her staring at a cup of coffee, eyes wide with excitement. "I've got it," she said, pulling him to her computer. "Look at how the alien metal reacts to electricity. It doesn't just conduct it. It amplifies it somehow. If we build engines with this principle, we could move faster than anything in their fleet." In another section, Admiral Grant worked with military experts to plan how the ship would fight. "The Council ships are big and powerful, but they're designed to intimidate," he explained to Walker. Their weapons are meant for planets and large targets. We need to be fast and hit precisely. Walker watched as the team created new weapons that used Earth's unique understanding of physics. While the Council used energy beams, the human team developed missiles that could change direction in space and projectiles that carried special payloads. But the biggest breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Lisa Brown, a young computer scientist, discovered something strange when studying the alien computer systems. Their AI is very advanced, she told Walker one day, but it's also very predictable. It follows strict rules. She showed him simulations where the alien systems always responded the same way to threats. They don't adapt well to chaos. And humans are nothing if not chaotic, Walker said with a smile. Lisa nodded eagerly. Exactly. I've been working on a new kind of ship control system. It combines AI with human thought patterns. She demonstrated by putting on a headset connected to a computer. On the screen, a virtual ship moved through space, responding to her thoughts faster than any manual control could. The system learns how humans think and anticipates our decisions, she explained. No alien AI would understand the patterns because they don't think like us. As the project progressed, news arrived that Council probe ships had been spotted near Pluto. They were watching, studying Earth's defenses. Walker increased security and pushed the team harder. Not everyone believed in the project. 5 months in, Walker was called to a video meeting with the World Security Council. "Captain, we've reviewed your progress," said Councilman Peters, a tall man with a stern face. "The resources going into Project Nemesis are enormous. Many believe we should negotiate with the Council instead." "Negotiate from weakness?" Walker asked. "They destroyed one of our ships to show their power. What kind of terms do you think they'll offer?" "Perhaps better ones than extinction," Peters replied. "If we resist and fail, they might decide humanity is too dangerous to exist." Walker leaned forward. "Throughout history, freedom has required risk. If we surrender without trying, we don't deserve to reach the stars." The meeting ended without resolution, but Walker was allowed to continue. In the final month, the ship began to take shape. It was smaller than the alien vessels but packed with technology that combined human innovation with reverse-engineered alien systems. The outer hull was painted midnight black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside, the command center featured the neural interface system that Lisa had developed. Dr. Reed's engines were installed, capable of speeds that would have been considered impossible a year ago. Admiral Grant's weapons systems were hidden within the hull, invisible until needed. Walker stood before the completed ship the day before the Council's return. The crew of 100 had been chosen from the best pilots and soldiers on Earth. "Tomorrow," he told them, "the Council comes back expecting our surrender. They think humans are just another species to add to their collection." He placed his hand on the ship's cool metal surface. "This ship is called Nemesis. In ancient Earth stories, Nemesis was the force that punished those who showed arrogance before the gods." Dr. Reed stepped forward. "Captain, the neural systems are fully online. We've tested everything twice. She's ready." Walker nodded. "Then let's make sure we are too. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy what happens when you corner humanity." As the crew prepared for their positions, Walker took a moment alone in the ship's bridge. Through the viewport, he could see Earth's oceans above the underwater base. Somewhere up there, the most powerful alien force in the galaxy was about to arrive, expecting submission. "Not today," he whispered to himself. "Not ever." The sky above New York filled with massive ships. 50 of them, each larger than the biggest human aircraft carrier, moved slowly into position. Their silver hulls reflected the sunlight, making them shine like new coins in the blue sky. People in the streets below pointed and stared. Some ran in fear, while others took pictures with their phones. No one had seen anything like it. In the United Nations building, the Secretary General waited with world leaders. Captain James Walker stood nearby, dressed in his formal uniform. His face showed nothing, but inside, his heart raced. "Remember, Walker whispered to the Secretary General, "Keep them talking as long as possible. We need time." A beam of light appeared in the center of the room. It formed into the shape of High Commissioner Dorn, a tall alien with dark purple skin and 6 fingers on each hand. As the leader of the council delegation, he outranked Delegate Moore, who had visited 6 months earlier. "Greetings," Dorn said, his voice deep and smooth. "I trust you have considered our generous offer of membership." The Secretary General stepped forward. "High Commissioner, welcome back to Earth. We have indeed given your proposal much thought, but we have some questions before we can proceed." Dorn's yellow eyes narrowed slightly. "Questions?" The terms were quite clear. "Clear, yes, but there are details to discuss. For example, the reduction of our military forces. Would this include our research vessels? Many have scientific purposes. All vessels with any military capability must be dismantled," Dorn said flatly. "This is non-negotiable." The meeting continued this way for an hour. The Earth representatives asked careful questions while Dorn grew more impatient. Walker watched, saying nothing, waiting for the right moment. Finally, Dorn raised his hand to stop the discussion. "Enough delays. Your questions suggest resistance to our terms. This is unwise." He touched a device on his wrist, and a hologram appeared, showing the Council fleet positioned around Earth. "Perhaps you need to understand your situation more clearly," Dorn said. "Your planet is surrounded. You have no defenses capable of resisting even one of our ships. I ask one final time. Do you accept the Council's protection and guidance?" Walker stepped forward. "Before we answer, High Commissioner, we'd like to show you something Earth has developed recently." Dorn looked annoyed. "Some primitive technology will not change your circumstances, Captain." Walker smiled slightly and touched his own wrist device. "Maybe not, but we think you'll find this interesting." Beneath the Pacific Ocean, the hidden base opened its massive underwater doors. The Nemesis rose slowly through the water, its black hull absorbing rather than reflecting light. As it broke the surface, water cascaded off its sleek form. It was smaller than the Council ships, only about 1/3 their size, but its design was unlike anything humans had built before. The ship rose into the air without any visible engines, silent and graceful. It moved toward New York at incredible speed, arriving within minutes. It hovered directly between the UN building and the largest Council ship. In the meeting room, Walker displayed a hologram showing the Nemesis. "High Commissioner, allow me to introduce Earth's newest vessel." Dorn stared at the image, then laughed. "This is your response. One small ship. It is admirable that you built this so quickly, but it is nothing compared to our fleet." "Size isn't everything," Walker said calmly. "Perhaps a demonstration." Before Dorn could respond, Walker gave an order through his communicator. On the Nemesis, Dr. Reed activated the ship's special shields. A faint blue glow surrounded the vessel. "Scan it," Walker suggested. Dorn touched his device again, frowning. "Your ship is interfering with our sensors. This is unexpected, but not impressive. Then perhaps this will get your attention." Walker nodded to Admiral Grant, who was commanding the Nemesis. The black ship moved suddenly, faster than any Council vessel could track. It positioned itself beside one of the smallest Council ships and fired a precision beam. The beam struck the Council ship's engine section. There was no explosion, no destruction. But the Council ship's lights flickered and went dark. It began to drift, powerless. Dorn's yellow eyes widened in shock. "Impossible. How did you disable one of our ships?" "That was a warning shot," Walker explained. "We could have destroyed it, but that's not our goal." The Secretary General stepped forward again. "High Commissioner, Earth wishes to join the Galactic Council. But we will join as equals, not as servants. We propose new terms." Dorn's shocked expression hardened into anger. "You dare to dictate terms to the Council? One lucky shot does not change the balance of power. We have 50 ships. You have one." Walker smiled. "True, but we've been monitoring your communications. We know the Council isn't as united as you pretend. 3 of your member species are on the verge of rebellion. Others question the old ways. This was a guess based on intercepted messages they hadn't fully translated, but Dorn's reaction confirmed it was correct. The alien's purple skin darkened with anger. This is outrageous. You will pay for this insolence. Dorn touched his device, giving commands to his fleet. Destroy their ship. Now. The Council fleet moved into attack formation. Energy weapons charged, targeting the Nemesis. But the black ship was already moving. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The Nemesis moved in ways that should have been impossible, avoiding every shot. Its neural interface, guided by Lisa Brown and a team of pilots, anticipated the Council's attack patterns before they happened. When the Nemesis fired back, its shots were precise and devastating. It targeted weapons and engines, deliberately avoiding areas that would cause ships to explode. Within 5 minutes, 10 Council ships hung dead in space. The rest had scattered, unable to coordinate against the unpredictable human vessel. In the UN building, Dorn watched in horror as his fleet fell into chaos. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No species has ever." "How did you?" Walker stood tall. "Humanity has a saying, High Commissioner. Don't back something into a corner unless you're certain it can't fight back. You threatened our freedom, so we did what humans have always done. We innovated." The Secretary General placed a data tablet on the table. "Our terms are simple. Earth joins the Council as a full member immediately. We maintain our military for self-defense, and the Council opens its technology to all member species equally." Dorn stared at the tablet, then at the hologram showing more of his ships being disabled by the Nemesis. For the first time in his long life, a High Commissioner of the Galactic Council faced something he had never expected to encounter. Defeat. News travels fast, even in the vastness of space. Within days, every planet in the Galactic Council knew about the human ship that had defeated an entire Council fleet. The stories grew with each telling. Some said the human ship could disappear and reappear at will. Others claimed it could predict the future. All agreed on one thing. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Council's power had been challenged. Captain James Walker stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, looking at the stars through the main viewport. The ship was orbiting Earth, a silent guardian. Dr. Reed worked at a console nearby, analyzing data from their battle. "We've become famous overnight," she said, showing Walker a translation of messages they had intercepted. "Every oppressed species in the galaxy is talking about us." Walker frowned. "Fame can be dangerous. The Council won't take this humiliation lightly." Admiral Grant entered the bridge. "You're right about that. Our long-range scanners show massive fleet movements. The Council is calling ships from all sectors. They're preparing for war," Walker said quietly. Back on Earth, the Secretary General called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all nations gathered to discuss the situation. "The Council has withdrawn for now," the Secretary General explained. "But our victory may have only bought us time. We have reports that the Council is divided on how to respond." Walker, attending via secure video link, added, "Our intelligence suggests 3 main factions have formed. The Krell, a warrior species, want immediate all-out war against Earth. The Lorens advocate for genuine negotiation. And a neutral faction led by High Counselor Vex is still undecided." "What are our options?" asked the Chinese president. "We could wait for them to make the next move," Walker said, "or we could take action. Show them we're not a threat to peace, only to tyranny." After hours of debate, they made a bold decision. The Nemesis would embark on a diplomatic mission to visit key worlds in the Council space. They would demonstrate peaceful intentions while making it clear that humans would not be conquered. 2 weeks later, the Nemesis entered the Loren home system. The Lorens were one of the oldest species in the Council, known for their wisdom and diplomatic skills. Their world was a beautiful blue-green planet with 3 moons. As the human ship approached, a fleet of smaller vessels moved to intercept them. But these weren't warships. They were ceremonial escorts. "They're welcoming us," Admiral Grant said, surprised. On the Loran homeworld, Walker led a small delegation to meet with the Loran leadership. The aliens were tall and slender with golden skin that seemed to glow from within. Their leader, Ambassador Teal, greeted the humans warmly. "Your arrival has created quite a stir throughout the galaxy," Teal said as they walked through a garden of strange, glowing plants. "Many species remember when they too were forced to accept colonial status. Your resistance has given them hope." "We didn't come to cause trouble," Walker explained. "Humans just want to be treated as equals." Teal's large eyes studied Walker carefully. "Perhaps that is exactly what troubles the Council. For too long, they have maintained power by keeping advanced technology in the hands of a few. Your ship, this nemesis, suggests humans might advance too quickly to control." Dr. Reed, who had joined the delegation, shared some of Earth's cultural achievements, art, music, and literature. Using a device she had created, she allowed the Lorans to experience human emotions directly. Many were moved to tears by Earth music. "Your species feels things deeply," Teal observed. "This passion tries your creativity." The visit was a success. The Lorans agreed to support Earth's bid for full Council membership. More importantly, they shared information about other worlds that might be sympathetic to humanity's cause. In the following weeks, the Nemesis visited 5 more planets. Each time, they demonstrated human culture alongside their technology. They made it clear that humans sought friendship, not domination. But not everyone welcomed them. When they arrived at Krell space, they were met with hostility. The Krell were a reptilian species known for their aggressive nature and military might. Their ships immediately took offensive positions. "They're charging weapons," Admiral Grant reported. "Hold position," Walker ordered. "Don't power our weapons. Let them make the first move." The standoff lasted for tense minutes. Finally, a gruff voice came through the communication system. "Human vessel, you have shown skill in battle. The Krell respect strength. You may enter our space, but we are watching." It wasn't friendship, but it was recognition. The Nemesis continued its mission, building a network of allies across the galaxy. Meanwhile, on a distant world hidden behind a red nebula, the Krell military leadership met in secret. General Zork, a battle-scarred veteran, addressed his commanders. "While the humans play diplomat, we prepare for war," he growled. "Their ship is impressive, but it is only one vessel. The Council has ruled for 10,000 years. We will not be undone by primitives." He revealed their plan, a surprise attack not on the Nemesis, but on Earth itself. Without its defender, the planet would be vulnerable. "The human homeworld will fall," Zork promised, "and the galaxy will remember why the Council is to be feared." The Krell fleet launched in secret, using hidden jump routes to avoid detection. The Nemesis was completing a successful meeting with the Axillary, an advanced race specializing in biology, when Walker received an urgent message from Earth. The Admiral's face was grim on the screen. "Captain, long-range sensors have detected a massive energy surge heading towards Earth. It's Krell signatures, at least 30 battleships. They'll be here in 12 hours. Walker turned to his crew. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed." Dr. Reed looked worried. "Even with our engines, we can't get there in less than 15 hours. Walker's face hardened with determination. "Then we need to find a shortcut. Contact our new allies. See if anyone knows a faster route." As the Nemesis raced toward home, Walker stared at the star map. Earth was about to face the full might of the Krell fleet without its defender. Millions could die. "I should never have left," he whispered. Dr. Reed put her hand on his shoulder. "We needed to make allies. And we did. Will they stand with us when it matters?" Walker wondered aloud. The answer would determine the fate of humanity. The Nemesis raced through space, pushing its engines beyond their limits. Captain Walker paced the bridge, checking the time constantly. They were still 3 hours away from Earth. The Krell fleet would arrive in less than one. "We need to warn Earth," Walker said. "Admiral Grant, can you reach our defense command?" The Admiral shook his head. "The Krell are blocking all long-range communications." Dr. Reed rushed onto the bridge. "Captain, Ambassador Teal of the Lorens is requesting to speak with you." The alien's golden face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Walker, we have detected the Krell fleet movement. This attack violates Council law. Can you help us?" Walker asked directly. "The Loren fleet is already on its way to Earth. We will arrive shortly after the Krell." But Teal hesitated. "There are only 10 of our ships. The Krell have 30. Walker nodded grimly. "We'll take any help we can get." "Thank you, Ambassador." As the communication ended, Dr. Reed approached Walker. "I've been studying the data from our jump drive. There might be a way to get home faster." "How?" "It's risky," she explained. "We could use the gravity of a nearby star to boost our speed. It would bend space around us, creating a shortcut." "Has anyone ever done this before?" Walker asked. "No, it's just a theory. And it would take us dangerously close to the star's corona. The heat could damage our shields." Walker looked at the ship's clock again. Earth had less than 30 minutes now. "Do it." The Nemesis changed course, heading directly toward a massive blue star. As they approached, the heat alarms began to sound. The ship shuddered as it fought against the enormous gravity. "Shields at maximum," Admiral Grant called out. "Hull temperature rising." Dr. Reed worked furiously at her console. "Just a few more seconds. Now." The Nemesis shot around the star like a slingshot, accelerating to impossible speed. For a moment, the view screen showed only blinding light. Then suddenly, they were in Earth's solar system. "It worked," Dr. Reed shouted. "We're here." But they were not alone. The Krell fleet had arrived and was already attacking Earth's orbital defenses. Explosions lit up the space around the planet as human ships fought bravely against the much larger alien vessels. "Status report," Walker demanded. "Earth's defenses are holding, but barely," Admiral Grant said. "They've activated the emergency shield network I designed, but it won't last long against that many ships." Walker studied the battlefield. The Krell had arranged their ships in a standard attack formation, something they had used successfully for centuries. "They're predictable," Walker said. "That's their weakness." He turned to his crew. "Prepare Protocol Thermopylae." The crew looked at each other in surprise. Protocol Thermopylae was a desperate battle plan, named after an ancient Earth battle where a small force had held off a much larger army by using the terrain to their advantage. "Sir, that's never been tested in real combat," Admiral Grant warned. "Neither had this ship until we faced the Council fleet," Walker replied. "Send the plans to Earth's defenders. Tell them to fall back to these positions." He marked several points in the solar system on the tactical display. The Nemesis raced toward the battle, still undetected by the Krell. Walker waited for the perfect moment, then gave the order. "Now." The black ship suddenly appeared in the middle of the Krell formation, its weapons firing with surgical precision. 3 enemy ships lost power immediately. The rest scattered in confusion. "Earth defenders, execute Thermopylae," Walker commanded over the open channel. What followed was unlike any space battle in galactic history. The human ships used the solar system itself as a weapon. They hid behind moons, using their gravity to alter missile trajectories. They skimmed the edges of asteroid fields, luring Krell ships into dangerous debris. Small, fast Earth vessels attacked and retreated, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. And at the center of it all was the Nemesis, moving in ways that defied the laws of physics as understood by the Krell. The neural interface that connected the human crew to the ship allowed them to react instantly, as if the ship was an extension of their own bodies. 10 Loren ships arrived as promised, joining the battle on humanity's side. The tide began to turn. General Zork, commanding the Krell fleet from his massive flagship, watched in growing rage as his carefully planned attack fell apart. "Impossible," he roared. "They are just primitives." His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Sir, we've lost 12 ships already. Perhaps we should." "No retreat." Zork slammed his fist on the command console. "Target their leader. All remaining ships, focus fire on the Nemesis." 20 Krell battleships turned their weapons toward the human vessel. Even with its advanced technology, the Nemesis couldn't withstand such concentrated firepower. "Shields failing," Admiral Grant reported as the ship shook violently. "We can't take much more of this." Walker made a decision that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for centuries. "Set course for the Krell flagship. Maximum speed." "Sir," Dr. Reed looked up in shock. "That's a suicide run." "Not quite," Walker said. "Remember that neural interface system you developed, the one that lets us share our thoughts with the ship?" Dr. Reed nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "Can you modify it to work in reverse, to broadcast our thoughts to their ships?" Her eyes widened. "You want to show them how we think, our emotions?" "Exactly. The Krell have never understood humans. Let's change that." As the Nemesis charged toward the Krell flagship, Dr. Reed worked frantically to modify the neural system. The ship's shields were nearly gone. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. "Ready," she called out finally. "All crew, connect to the interface," Walker ordered. "Share everything, our determination, our hope, our willingness to die for freedom. Let them feel what it means to be human." The Nemesis, trailing fire and debris, crashed through the Krell defense screen and came alongside the flagship. Instead of firing weapons, it broadcast a signal unlike anything the galaxy had ever experienced, the raw emotional essence of humanity. On the Krell ships, alien minds suddenly experienced the full force of human emotions. They felt the courage that had driven humans to face impossible odds throughout their history. They understood, for the first time, why this species could never be conquered, because humans would always choose death over submission. The effect was immediate. The Krell fleet stopped firing. Several ships powered down completely as their crews struggled to process the emotional onslaught. In the silence that followed, a new ship arrived, larger than any in the battle. It bore the insignia of High Counselor Vex, the oldest and wisest member of the Galactic Council. "This conflict ends now," Vex's voice came through on all communication channels. "The Krell attack was unauthorized and illegal under Council law." General Zork's broken voice responded, "High Counselor, these humans, they are not like any species we have encountered." "No," Vex agreed. "They are not. And perhaps that is what our galaxy has needed for a very long time." In the days that followed, representatives from all Council species gathered on Earth. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council changed its fundamental structure. No longer would advanced species rule over lesser ones. All members would have equal voice. The Nemesis, repaired and upgraded, became the flagship of a new multi-species exploration fleet. Captain Walker stood on its bridge once more, but now his crew included Lorens, reformed Krell, and a dozen other alien species. "Where to, Captain?" asked Dr. Reed, now his official second-in-command. Walker smiled as he looked at the stars on the view screen. "Everywhere we haven't been yet. The galaxy just got a lot bigger." As the Nemesis set course for unexplored space, humans and aliens working side by side, Walker reflected on how it had all begun, with a threat to humanity's freedom. The ship that had been built for war had become something else entirely, a symbol of what different species could accomplish together. The Galactic Council's worst nightmare had become the galaxy's greatest hope. Tom Miller shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The chair, designed for beings with very different body shapes, dug into his back. He was the only human in the Grand Council chamber of Nexus Prime, the massive space station where the Galactic Council held its meetings. The room itself was impressive. a huge dome with stars visible through the clear ceiling. Around a U-shaped table sat the representatives of the 12 most powerful species in the galaxy. Some looked almost human, while others were completely alien, from the crystal-bodied Vex to the blue-skinned water-breathers like Nara. All of them had been traveling among the stars for thousands of years before humans had even invented the wheel. And all of them were now talking about a problem that affected millions of lives across the galaxy. The energy shortage on the frontier worlds has reached crisis levels, said Counselor Dren, whose green skin wrinkled with concern. 3 colonies have already been abandoned. More will follow soon. Counselor Nara, whose blue skin shimmered under the bright lights, gestured with her webbed hands. The distant worlds simply consume more energy than we can transport to them. Even our fastest ships take too long to deliver fuel. Tom listened carefully. Earth had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago, when alien ships first landed in major cities across the planet. Humans were still seen as newcomers, barely trusted with the simplest technology. At these meetings, he was usually expected to sit quietly and learn. Counselor Vex rose from his seat, his crystal body catching the light. There is a theoretical solution, a Dyson ring. The chamber went silent. Tom had heard of Dyson spheres, megastructures built around stars to capture their energy. A Dyson ring would be a smaller version, capturing perhaps 30% of a star's output instead of all of it. The energy captured would solve the frontier problems for centuries, Vex continued. However, I mention it only as a theoretical concept. Building such a structure is, of course, impossible. Quite impossible, agreed Nara. The gravitational calculations alone would require computational power beyond even our most advanced systems. Another counselor, a 6-legged being named Crawl, added, the material requirements are absurd. No known substance could withstand the stresses involved. Tom frowned. In his 5 years as Earth's representative, he had noticed something about the older species. They were brilliant and advanced. But they were also careful. Too careful, perhaps. They'd rarely tried anything truly new anymore. Before he could stop himself, Tom spoke up. Earth would be willing to attempt building the Dyson ring. The silence that followed was brief, broken by sounds that Tom recognized as laughter from a dozen different species. Ambassador Miller, said Vex kindly, as if speaking to a child, your enthusiasm is noted, but humans have been spacefaring for less than a century. The Dyson ring has been deemed impossible by civilizations with million-year histories of engineering. Nara's voice was gentler. The physics involved are beyond even our understanding, Ambassador. No offense meant, but if we cannot build it, humans certainly cannot. Tom felt his face grow hot, but he kept his voice calm. Humans have a history of achieving impossible things, counselors. Sometimes fresh eyes see solutions that experienced ones miss. This is not about building a slightly better spaceship, Crawl said. This is about constructing a megastructure around a star. The scale is beyond your comprehension. The council moved on to other topics, but Tom couldn't let go of the idea. As the meeting ended, he approached Vex. If Earth were to attempt the Dyson Ring project, would the council object? Vex seemed amused. No, Ambassador. The council would not object to an impossible project. The attempt itself would be educational for your species. Then may we have access to the theoretical plans, all the research that's been done on the concept. Vex hesitated, then nodded. I see no harm in that. I'll have the files transferred to your systems. But Ambassador, don't raise false hopes among your people. This project cannot succeed. 3 weeks later, Tom stood in a large conference room in Houston, Earth. On the screens around him were the faces of some of Earth's brightest minds, scientists, engineers, and builders from around the planet. They say it can't be built, Tom concluded after explaining the Dyson Ring concept. They've convinced themselves it's impossible. Kate Reed, a physicist known for her unconventional theories, snorted. People said the same thing about flying machines once. And space travel, added Miguel Ortiz, a materials engineer who had developed new alloys for Mars habitats. Jack Thompson, a construction expert with more wrinkles than a dried apple, leaned forward. Son, throughout history, the most important projects started with someone saying, "It can't be done." Then someone else does it anyway. Tom smiled. This was exactly the reaction he had hoped for. The aliens think we'll fail. They think we'll learn our limits and settle into our place in the galactic order. Well, they don't know humans very well, do they? Kate said, her eyes bright with excitement. I've already spotted 3 flaws in their gravitational models. They're too perfect, too by the book. Miguel was scanning the material specifications. They're only considering known materials. But I've been working on some nanostructured composites that might handle these stresses. The construction approach is all wrong too, Jack muttered, studying the plans. Too complicated. There are simpler ways to build big. Tom looked around at their excited faces and felt a surge of hope. So, you think it might be possible? Kate grinned. Possible? I'd say it's inevitable. The math works out if you approach it differently. I'll need a proper team and a budget, Miguel said. And access to the asteroid belt for raw materials. Jack nodded. And we'll need a construction site far from Earth. Something close to Jupiter, maybe, where we can test in different gravity. Tom took a deep breath. I'll secure the funding and permissions. We'll need to work quietly at first. If we fail, I don't want Earth to lose face. We won't fail, Kate said firmly. How can you be so sure? Tom asked. Because, Jack answered with a smile that crinkled his entire face. They said it couldn't be built. And nothing motivates humans more than being told something is impossible. 6 months passed quickly. The asteroid base near Jupiter, now called Impossible Station by the human team, buzzed with activity. What had started with just 3 experts had grown into a team of 50 top scientists and engineers from Earth. The base itself was simple but effective, a hollowed-out asteroid with pressurized chambers, connected by metal tunnels. In the main research dome, Kate Reeb stood before a huge transparent board covered in equations and diagrams. The aliens' math isn't wrong, she explained to Tom, who had come to check on their progress. It's just too perfect, too rigid. Tom watched as she added more symbols to the already crowded board. What do you mean? They approach everything logically, step by step. But that's not how the universe actually works. Kate pointed to a section of complex calculations. See here. When they hit a calculation problem, they stop. They say, this is where it becomes impossible. But humans, she smiled. We guess. We make logical leaps. We use intuition. Across the room, a small group of alien observers watched with barely hidden amusement. The Galactic Council had sent them to monitor the human project and report back. None of them expected success. Intuition is not a scientific method, said one observer, a tall being named Zal with pale skin. Maybe not, Kate replied without looking up from her work. But it's very human. And sometimes it works where pure logic fails. In another chamber of the base, Miguel Ortiz was surrounded by material samples and testing equipment. He had been working for weeks on creating a substance that could withstand the extreme stresses of the Dyson ring. As Tom entered, Miguel cursed as he knocked over his coffee mug. The hot liquid spilled across his workbench, flowing over a sample of experimental nanomaterial. Sorry about the mess, Miguel said, grabbing a cloth to clean up. Then he stopped, staring at the sample. Wait, that's interesting. Tom looked over his shoulder. What is? The coffee. It's caused a reaction in the nanomaterial. Miguel quickly placed the sample under a microscope, then let out a whoop of joy. The heat and compounds in the coffee have created exactly the kind of molecular bonding I've been trying to achieve for weeks. You discovered a crucial material by spilling coffee? Asked Zol from the doorway, his voice filled with disbelief. Miguel grinned. Sometimes the best discoveries happen by accident. The history of human science is full of such moments. He carefully placed the sample in a testing chamber. I think we just solved our material strength problem. The alien observer left the room, shaking his head. In the largest chamber of the base, Jack Thompson had created what looked like a strange playground. Models of different shapes and sizes hung from the ceiling. On the floor, robotic arms moved pieces of metal into various formations. "What's all this?" Tom asked, looking around in confusion. "I'm testing construction methods," Jack explained. He pointed to a model that looked like a pyramid. The ancient Egyptians built massive structures using simple tools and clever techniques. Here, he moved to another model. The Polynesians navigated vast oceans using just the stars and currents. "But we have advanced technology now," Tom said, puzzled. "Yes, and we'll use it. But the old ways have wisdom too." Jack activated a small demonstration where tiny robots arranged blocks in a specific pattern. "I'm combining ancient building techniques with modern robotics. The aliens think too complicated. Sometimes simpler is better." That evening, Tom met with the 3 experts in the base's small meeting room. The alien observers were filing their daily reports to the council. "So, what's our progress?" Tom asked. Kate spoke first. "My new computational approach works. I solved the gravitational equations by using a combination of quantum algorithms and what I call educated guesswork. The aliens never considered this approach because it's not purely logical." Miguel held up a small cube of shimmering material. "And I've developed this. I'm calling it CoffeeCom." He grinned. "It has exactly the properties we need for the ring's core structure. Lightweight but stronger than anything the aliens have. My construction methods are ready for testing too," Jack added. "Using swarms of small robots rather than a few big machines will make building the ring much faster and more adaptable." Tom looked at them with amazement. "So you're saying it's actually possible? We can build the Dyson ring?" "Not only possible," Kate said with confidence, "but we can do it better and faster than anyone expects." "And what about the alien observers?" Tom asked. "What are they reporting back?" "They think we're making interesting progress but will ultimately fail," Miguel said with a laugh. "Zol told me directly that our approaches are creative but unsustainable." Jack snorted. "They're stuck in their ways. They've been building things the same way for thousands of years. They can't imagine a different approach might work." The meeting was interrupted when Zol entered the room. The alien looked uncomfortable. "I have just received a message from the council," he said formally. "They are surprised by your progress. Councillor Vex will be arriving tomorrow to inspect your work personally." After Zol left, Tom turned to his team with concern. "This could be trouble. If the council decides our project threatens the galactic order somehow, then we better have something impressive to show them," Kate said firmly. "Let's get to work." Through the night, the human team prepared demonstrations of their innovations. As the station's lights dimmed to simulate night, creating a more comfortable working environment for the humans, activity continued in all research chambers. In her private notes, Kate wrote, "The aliens don't understand us. They think our greatest strength is our technology, but it's not. It's our creativity, our willingness to take risks, to try the untried. They've been among the stars so long they've forgotten how to dream. But we haven't, and that's why we'll succeed where they failed." 1 year after Tom first proposed the Dyson Ring project, the construction site around a small red dwarf star buzzed with activity. What had begun as a small team had grown into a massive operation. Thousands of engineers, scientists, and construction workers from Earth now worked together on what many still call the impossible project. From the observation deck of the command ship, Tom looked out at the growing structure. Already, they had completed nearly 1% of the ring. It wasn't much compared to the final design, but it was proof that humans could do what the galaxy's oldest civilizations had deemed impossible. "Impressive, isn't it?" Kate said, joining him at the window. "The first segment is already capturing enough energy to power the entire construction operation." Tom nodded. and the Council can't ignore our progress anymore. Indeed, news of the human project had spread throughout the galaxy. Some alien races watched with interest, others with concern. The Galactic Council maintained its official position that the project would ultimately fail, but privately, many counselors were becoming worried. Below them, massive factory ships converted asteroid material into the specialized components designed by Miguel. His coffee comp material had proven even better than expected. Lightweight, incredibly strong, and able to withstand the extreme conditions near a star. Swarms of construction robots, programmed with Jack's algorithms, moved through space like schools of fish, placing each component with perfect precision. The robots worked together in ways inspired by Earth's natural systems. Ants building colonies, bees constructing hives, and humans raising ancient monuments. Kate called Miguel over the communication system. "We've got a problem with Section 14. The gravitational readings are off." Kate rushed to her console and pulled up the data. Her fingers flew over the controls as she adjusted her mathematical models. "I see it," she said. "The star just had a minor flare that affected the local gravity field, redirecting construction robots to compensate." On the main screens, they could see the robot swarms shifting their patterns, adjusting their work to account for the new calculations. This kind of rapid adaptation was exactly what made the human approach different. Where alien engineers might have stopped to recalculate everything from scratch, Kate's systems simply adjusted on the fly. Ambassador Miller called a crew member. "Counselor Vex has arrived and requests to inspect the construction." Tom straightened his uniform. "Right on schedule. Let's go greet him." The crystalline form of Counselor Vex seemed to shimmer with barely contained surprise as Tom guided him through the construction command center. "I must admit, Ambassador, your progress is unexpected," Vex said carefully. "Though you've built less than 1% of the total structure, the complexities increase exponentially from here." Tom smiled. "We're well aware, Counselor, but our adaptive systems are designed to handle increasing complexity." Indeed, Vex studied the screens showing construction data. "And what of the material stresses? Our models predict failure once the structure reaches 5% completion." "Those models didn't account for our new materials," Miguel explained, joining them. He handed Vex a small sample of coffee comp. "This can withstand forces 10 times greater than your models predicted would be necessary." Vex held the material, his crystalline fingers testing its strength. "Remarkable. And this was accidental." "A happy accident," Miguel confirmed. But recognizing its potential wasn't accidental at all. They continued the tour, showing Vex the robot construction swarms and the energy collection systems already in operation. Throughout it all, the counselor remained polite but skeptical. "Impressive progress," he admitted as the tour concluded. "But you've completed the easiest parts first. The true challenges lie ahead." After Vex departed for his return to the council, Tom felt a mixture of pride and concern. The alien races were finally taking the human project seriously, which brought new attention. Not all of it welcome. That night, as most of the crew slept, alarms blared throughout the command ship. "What's happening?" Tom demanded, rushing into the control room still pulling on his uniform jacket. Jack was already there, his face grim. "Structural failure in Section 3. We're losing it." On the screens, they could see a critical support beam breaking apart. As it failed, the surrounding structures began to collapse. 3 months of work was being destroyed before their eyes. "Get the repair robots out there now," Kate ordered. "We need to contain the damage." For hours, they fought to save what they could. By morning, the situation was under control, but the damage was extensive. Nearly a quarter of their completed work had been destroyed. "It wasn't an accident," Jack said grimly, holding up a piece of debris that had been brought in for analysis. "The support beam was weakened deliberately." "Sabotage." A heavy silence fell over the room. Tom looked at the faces of his team, tired, dirty, but still determined. "Who would do this?" Miguel asked. The council. Tom shook his head. I don't think so. Vex seemed genuinely impressed by our work, but there are many in the galaxy who don't want to see the power balance shift. If humans succeed where the older races failed, we threaten the established order, Kate finished. So what do we do now? Jack asked. We've lost months of work. Tom looked out the window at the damaged section of the ring, then back at his team. They expected us to fail from the beginning. This changes nothing except our timeline. We rebuild stronger than before. And we increase security, Kate added. I'll design new sensors to detect any tampering. Miguel nodded. I'll strengthen the critical components, make them more resistant to sabotage. And I'll review the construction sequences, Jack said. Add redundancies so that a single failure can't cause a cascade. Tom looked at his team with pride. This was what humans did best: adapt, overcome, and grow stronger from setbacks. Where other species might see failure and give up, humans saw a challenge to meet. Send a message to Earth, he told his communications officer. We need more people, more resources, and send a message to the council as well. What should it say, sir? The officer asked. Tom smiled grimly. Tell them construction continues on schedule. Tell them the Dyson ring will be completed as planned. As the team dispersed to begin repairs, Tom remained at the window, looking out at the stars. Someone had tried to stop them. Someone who feared what would happen if humans succeeded. That meant that they were on the right track. They said it couldn't be built. He murmured to himself, we're going to prove them wrong. 2 years into the Dyson Ring project, the structure was an impressive sight. Nearly 15% of the giant circle around the red dwarf star was complete. The finished sections already captured enormous amounts of energy, enough to power several frontier worlds. The sabotage attack had only made the human team stronger. They had rebuilt the damaged sections with improved materials and better security systems. The work moved faster than before, as if the setback had only increased their determination. In the main control room of the command ship, Kate stared at her screens with growing concern. For days, she had been running new calculations, checking and rechecking her results. The news wasn't good. Tom, we need to talk, she said when the project leader entered the room. Privately. They moved to a small meeting room. Kate closed the door and projected a model of the Dyson ring onto the table between them. We have a serious problem, she said. Her usual confidence was gone. My models predict that once we reach 20% completion, a resonance pattern will develop here, here, and here. She pointed to 3 spots on the ring model that began to glow red. Resonance? Tom asked. Like how a bridge can collapse if soldiers march across it in step. Exactly, Kate said. But much worse. The gravitational forces from the star will create vibrations in the structure. Those vibrations will build on each other, growing stronger and stronger. Can't we just reinforce those sections? Kate shook her head. It's not that simple. The resonance will affect the entire ring. If we reach 20% completion with our current design, the whole structure will tear itself apart. Tom sat heavily in his chair. Is there a solution? I've been trying to find one for weeks, Kate admitted. But even our new mathematical approaches can't solve this. It's a fundamental problem with the physics involved. She looked at Tom with sadness. The council was right. Maybe it really is impossible. Word of the problem spread quickly through the command staff. Miguel and Jack joined Kate in attempting to find a solution, but after a week of non-stop work, they were no closer to an answer. Then a message arrived from the Galactic Council. They had learned of the resonance problem and were calling an emergency session. The human team was ordered to attend. The journey to Nexus Prime was tense. Tom, Kate, Miguel, and Jack knew what awaited them. The Council would shut down their project. 2 years of work, the efforts of thousands of humans, all for nothing. The council chamber was packed when they arrived. Representatives from dozens of species were present, not just the 12 main counselors. News of the human project had become the talk of the galaxy. Ambassador Miller, Counselor Vex began when they were seated. We have received reports about a critical flaw in your Dyson ring design, a resonance pattern that will destroy the structure once it reaches 20% completion. Is this correct? Tom looked at Kate, who nodded slightly. Yes, Counselor. We've identified a resonance problem. Counselor Nara leaned forward, her blue skin catching the light. We warned you from the beginning that this project was impossible. The physics simply do not allow for it. With respect, Kate said, we've overcome many impossible problems already. But not this one, Vex pointed out. And this is not a minor issue. If the ring were to collapse once at greater completion, the resulting debris could threaten nearby systems. The Council has voted, announced Krull, the six-legged counselor. For safety reasons, the human Dyson ring project is to be immediately suspended. All construction must cease. Tom wanted to argue, but what could he say? They had no solution. The problem seemed truly unsolvable. The flight back to the construction site was quiet. The human team sat in the ship's small dining area, barely touching their food. 2 years, Miguel said sadly. All that work. All those people who believed in us, added Kate. Jack stared into his coffee cup, watching the dark liquid swirl as the ship experienced minor turbulence. The movements of the coffee created a familiar pattern, waves that moved outward, then reflected back, creating complex interference patterns. Something clicked in Jack's mind. Wait, he said suddenly, sitting up straight. I think I have an idea. The others looked at him with little hope. They had already tried everything they could think of. The resonance, Jack continued, excitement growing in his voice. We've been trying to prevent it. But what if we work with it instead? He grabbed a napkin and began sketching quickly. On Earth, we built bridges with tuned mass dampers, devices that create counter-vibrations to cancel out dangerous oscillations. Kate frowned. But the scale is completely different. We'd need hundreds of massive dampers spread throughout the ring. Exactly, Jack said. We place damping modules at precise intervals. They don't fight the forces directly. They create controlled counter-vibrations that cancel out the resonance. Miguel studied the sketch. We could build the dampers from coffee comp, make them adjustable to respond to changing conditions. Kate was already typing calculations into her tablet. The math, she muttered, then looked up with wide eyes. It could work. It actually could work. The dampers would need to be precisely tuned and placed. But, for the first time in weeks, hope returned to their faces. How did you come up with this? Tom asked, looking at Jack's sketch. Jack held up his coffee cup with a smile. Watching this, the way the waves interact when the ship moves, it reminded me of old Earth bridges and how they solved similar problems centuries ago. So we solve an advanced physics problem with coffee and old bridges. Miguel laughed. Perfect. They returned to the construction site energized with new purpose. While Tom prepared to face the Council again, the others worked frantically to develop a prototype damping module. 3 days later, they installed the first module on a completed section of the ring. Kate monitored the readings as they activated it. It's working, she announced. The vibrations are decreasing exactly as predicted. The alien observers watched in confusion as the humans celebrated. One of them approached Tom. You found a solution, he asked, clearly surprised. We did, Tom confirmed. We stopped trying to prevent the forces and learned to work with them instead. The observer looked puzzled. And this idea came from a cup of coffee? And old bridges, Tom added with a smile. Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest ones. Within days, they had sent their new designs to the Council along with proof that the resonance problem could be solved. The Council reluctantly allowed the project to continue, though many counselors remained skeptical. As construction resumed, Tom gathered the human team for a toast. To coffee and bridges, he said, raising his cup. and to proving the impossible is possible after all. 3 years after Tom had first proposed the project, the day of completion arrived. The final segment of the Dyson ring waited to be connected, hovering in space as thousands of workers and robots made the last preparations. The command ship was crowded with important visitors. Representatives from every Galactic Council race had come to witness what many still believed would be a spectacular failure. They stood in small groups, speaking quietly among themselves, occasionally glancing at the humans with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. Tom, Kate, Miguel, and Jack stood together near the main viewing window. Through it, they could see the nearly complete ring surrounding the red dwarf star. It was an amazing sight, a giant circle of human-made technology that dwarfed even the largest alien constructions. "Hard to believe we're actually finishing it," Jack said, his weathered face showing both pride and exhaustion. The past 3 years had been hard on all of them, but especially on Jack, the oldest of the team. "We're not done yet," Kate reminded him. "The activation is the real test. All our calculations, all our theories. This is where we find out if they work." Miguel nodded. "The damping modules are all in place. The coffee cup material has performed perfectly so far. But when we close the ring and activate the full energy collection system, it will work," Tom said firmly. He looked around at his team. "Whatever happens, remember what we've already accomplished. We did what they said couldn't be done." Jack laughed. "Let's hope it actually works, though. I hate to have to tell everyone back on Earth that we almost built the impossible." Over the communication system, the countdown began. The final segment moved slowly into position, guided by precision robots. Special locking mechanisms engaged, connecting it to the rest of the structure. "Ring structure complete," announced the chief engineer. "All segments report green status." A cheer went up from the human crew members. Even some of the alien observers looked impressed. But the most difficult part was yet to come. "Begin activation sequence," Tom ordered. Throughout the massive structure, systems began powering up. Energy collectors extended toward the star, ready to capture its radiation. The damping modules activated, ready to counter any resonance patterns that might develop. "Energy readings are climbing," Kate reported, watching her screens. 10%, 20%, 30%. Everyone held their breath. This was the moment when their calculations would be proven right or wrong. If the ring failed now, it would be catastrophic. 40%, 50%, 60%, Kate continued. One of the alien counselors moved closer to Tom. "Your team has already accomplished more than we thought possible," he said quietly. "Even if it fails now, this project will be remembered." "It won't fail," Tom replied, never taking his eyes off the ring. 70%, 80%, 90%. Kate's voice grew more excited with each number. "Energy collection at full capacity. All systems stable." The command center erupted in cheers. Humans hugged each other, laughed, and some even cried with joy. The ring was working, collecting energy from the star at exactly the levels they had predicted, with no signs of instability. The alien observers watched in stunned silence. What they had declared impossible was now reality before their eyes. "The frontier worlds are reporting energy reception," a communications officer called out. "The transfer system is working perfectly. They're receiving more power than they've ever had before." In the days that followed, the human team worked to ensure everything continued to function properly. The ring not only worked, it worked better than their most optimistic predictions. The energy it captured would end centuries of shortages on the frontier worlds, opening new possibilities for expansion and development. 1 week after the successful activation, the Galactic Council called a special session. Tom and his team were asked to attend. The council chamber felt different this time. There were no dismissive looks, no condescending tones. The human team was greeted with respect, even admiration. "Ambassador Miller," Councillor Vex began, his crystal form gleaming. "The Council has reached a unanimous decision. In recognition of humanity's extraordinary achievement, Earth is being offered immediate advanced membership in the Galactic Council, an honor previously requiring millennia of proven achievement. Murmurs of approval filled the chamber. It was indeed an unprecedented offer, elevating humans to the same status as species that had been traveling the stars when humans were still living in caves. Tom looked at his team, then back at the counselors. "We appreciate the offer," he said, "but I think we'll progress at our own pace." Surprise rippled through the chamber. Even Kate, Miguel, and Jack looked startled. "You decline?" Counselor Nera asked in disbelief. "Not permanently," Tom clarified, "but humanity still has much to learn. And with respect, I think the Council has things to learn from us as well. We would prefer to earn our place through continued achievement rather than one single success." The Council members exchanged glances. This was unexpected, but not entirely unwelcome. It showed a maturity they hadn't expected from such a young species. As the human team prepared to return to Earth as heroes, they noticed something interesting. Engineers and scientists from other races were studying their designs, their methods, their approaches. The older species were learning from the newcomers, combining logic with intuition, embracing happy accidents, and finding wisdom in ancient techniques. Before their departure, Counselor Vex approached Tom privately. For once, the crystalline being seemed uncertain. "I must ask, Ambassador," he said, "how did you know you could succeed when all evidence suggested failure?" Tom smiled. "That's the thing about humans, Counselor. Telling us something is impossible doesn't discourage us. It challenges us, and we love a good challenge." Vex considered this. "And what challenge will humans tackle next?" "We have some ideas," Tom said with a smile. "There are still plenty of impossible things left to do." Back on Earth, the team was welcomed with celebrations around the world. The Dyson ring became a symbol of human potential, a reminder that no challenge was too great when faced with determination, creativity, and the willingness to try new approaches. In universities and research centers, a new generation of scientists and engineers looked to the stars with fresh eyes. If the Dyson ring was possible, what other impossible dreams might become reality? And in space, the great ring circled its star, collecting energy that brought light and power to worlds that had known only darkness and limitation. It stood as a monument not just to human achievement, but to the power of believing that the impossible was simply a problem waiting for a solution, a challenge waiting to be met, a barrier waiting to be broken, a future waiting to be built.